So that over feel you want fight. I've started my recording. You cannot be hugging people.
We are recording. See my life, see finish.
She will tell us that she's from Delta State, but she won't tell us where exactly she's from. If I tell you the place, later you will be surprised. Yeah. Alright, so is there any one of you with 170 material? So I won't spend too much time. Just about 2 topics left. We will talk about 172. What are the 2 topics? Now, factors that influence language attitude. The very first thing, that you must be able to explain when you talk about language attitude is that you must be able to give the definition of language attitude. Are you following me? You must be able to give the definition of language attitude. So, can everyone tell us what you think language attitude is? What do you think language attitude is? Anyone? Tell us what you think language attitude is. And you might agree this time around. Okay, so what's language attitude? You don't know. Is it not in the course material? Huh? So it's there in the material, but you don't have it. Alright. So language attitude refers to the predisposition, reaction or feelings of people towards a particular language. Your disposition. When you say, what disposition do you have towards eating swallow in the morning? What disposition do you have towards eating swallow in the morning? For some people, that's their choice. They are always interested in eating swallow in the morning. They follow me. Whereas for some persons, like me, I don't even like it in the afternoon. On top of in the morning. Are you getting what I'm saying? That's disposition. But so what's the disposition towards delight? Well, he's a good boy, he's responsible and not the like. Are you following what I'm saying? Then another person say that he's a very bad boy. That's disposition. It applies to language too, such that we are asked what's the disposition towards a particular language. You say that you like this language or you don't like this language. Unfortunately, when you conduct improper questions to people, you ask them, what's your disposition towards your mother tongue? You find out that many people says they like their mother tongue. Are you following me? But how do you test whether they actually like their mother tongue? By the time you want to show a movie, are you following me? A movie, for example, let's say you want to show Spider-Man in Yoruba and Spider-Man in English. You tell them that Spider-Man English will take place at 10 p.m. Spider-Man Yoruba will take place at, Spider-Man Yoruba will take place at 8 p.m. Then you open the cinema by 8, you will find maybe 3 or 4 people attending the Yoruba Spider-Man show. Are you following me? But at the 10 o'clock English show of Spider-Man, you will see thousands of people thronging in to watch it. That tells you that people only say by mouth that they actually like their mother tongue. They don't practice what they say. Are you following me? I'm explaining to you the concept of language attitude. If, for example, we are told to communicate to people in certain things outside classroom setting, what language do you feel better or best in expressing yourself? That's the language you have a positive attitude in, not the one you just say by mouth that you like. Are you following me? The one that you express yourself in, the one that you write in. You know, if you ask me to fill questionnaire now, yeah, which language do you like? Most people that are Yoruba will pick Yoruba. Or ask them to come and talk, they will talk in English. Are you following me? So men who only say by mouth that they have a positive attitude towards their language, but actually what actually happens is that they appreciate the English language over their own what? Mother tongue. So if you are asked to define what language attitude is, you must be able to tell us that it is the feeling or your disposition, your predisposition towards a particular language. So you find that in Nigeria, everyone wants to speak English. If when told you so that I know man, try that, you understand? Man, try that. Come tomorrow. They will say something. Are you following what I'm saying? Why? Because everyone wants to speak English. Because English has a socio-psychological predisposition of being classified as someone that is educated, but it doesn't have to be that because you speak English then you are educated. Alright, so that's an idea towards what we mean by language attitude. Now the next thing we want to look at are the factors that influence language attitude. What makes people to have a kind of attitude towards the language that they like? What makes people to have a negative attitude towards a language? Those are the things that we are trying to consider now. And we are going to run through them quickly. Okay, so it's very, very important that you are 100 level students and I should guide the way you answer questions. For example, I'm marking 172 regular students presently because what I was marking in my car now before I came down here. I was marking it yesterday. So it's one of the questions that was asked me. Discuss factors that influence language attitude. I mean, at least six factors that influence language attitude. And the way the mark scheme is that you give your definition, which is 2 marks. Then you talk about 6 of them, which is 3 marks. Then it makes what? 20. Are you following me? Now, for a large percentage of them that I've marked so far, they didn't give the definition of what language attitude is. Are you following me? In the past, it used to be just about 5 marks, giving the definition alone. So I'm guiding the way you write. So when you give me a definition, when you're asked some question, what are the factors that influence language attitude? The first thing that I expect you to do is that you first of all define to me what we by what? Language attitude. Are you following me? First of all, give the definition of what language attitude before you proceed to talking about the factors. You know what I'm saying? It applies for some other topics too. It could be that you have a question that says, what is language attitude? If we have that, you don't have to start telling us the definition of language attitude under a section that we say discuss factors of language attitude. You understand what I'm saying? But if you don't have that definition, that question that says, what is language attitude? It is expected that you should be able to express that. You said, you have University of Ibadan, be able to, you must be able to write as students that are qualified for the degree that you want to get. Okay. So my course is very easy to get good marks in there. I marked 2 courses in the week of last week. On Wednesday, the student that got 83 in Lane 222. That's one. And Pigeon, that got 88 something. So very easy. Then the student that got 32. 30 something. So I mean they were just 2 anyway. So I'm telling you so that you'll be aware now. Are you following me?
Yes.
There are patterns of answering questions and you must follow the patterns properly. Don't list. If I ask you to discuss factors, discuss them. Are you following me? Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
Alright, so now I'm not saying to come out, though. I'm just telling you. No, it's not going to come out. I'm just telling you so that you won't focus on that. But I've sent some practice questions to you now from previous semester, alright, or session. So look at that. I mean, your questions will come out. No, I'm not going to repeat the same question. Of course, there are some of them that are constant for 152. They will be repeated. But I can't tell you the exact ones that will come out in one session. No, I can't tell you. The point that I'm making is that, are you following me? The point that I'm making is that I've given you some list of topics to read, right? And they're very, I mean, this course is something that you can finish in just some hours of reading. It's not very difficult. This 172. Alright, so the next one, historical factor. Questions of history may influence language attitude either positively or negatively. What do you mean by this? If people see that the language has history, for example, English is a language that has a long history. Are you following? English is a language that has what? Long history. Latin, Greek, they are languages that have what? Long what? History. Now the tendency is that people will appreciate those kind of what? Languages. They will have positive, when you talk about language attitude, it can either be positive or what? Negative. So there is a tendency that people will have a positive attitude towards that kind of what? Of a language that has a positive history. It has a long, people have talked about it long like that. Before now, a very long time ago, it takes positive attitude. Now the next one is social cultural factor. Now basically this one has to do with social views, cultural embedments. There are some languages that carry cultural values. For example, before some of you came now, we're making jest of someone that said is from state of Osun. Okay? Now that name itself, it has some cultural embedment. Are you following me? You know, the language that I'm using for my PhD research. So before, the first time that I went to the community, the community in Ondo State, in Akoko, and they gave me some of the videos of the place. They have a festival that they normally do in August. What's the festival name? Masquerade Festival. They do it for 2 weeks. Some of the recordings that they gave me before I ventured, I did my own recording too, and I think they collected some of my recordings. Whites came for the festival. I mean, whites from different parts, Asians, Europeans, Japanese, different places. All the way from different parts of the world to, not even Osun Festival now, Ewell community. A community that doesn't have, maybe, God knows, I'm not sure they have 10,000 speakers. And that's them. But why did they come? They came because of the cultural what? Value of the people. And what expresses the culture is the language. Are you following me? So if certain people see that this language has certain things that they are interested in, then they will learn the what? The language. They will be interested. For example, I'm studying the language not because of the culture anyway, I'm a linguist, but part of what I recorded where the Masquerade Festival, I recorded the farmers, they were in farming, I recorded people that were making their palm oil, I recorded people that were making their baskets, I recorded several things. Why? So that I can get the names of what they call those things. Are you following what I'm saying? So, people are interested in the language, if the language has cultural what? Values. Alright? Now, the next thing is economic reason. Economic reason. A language that has the capacity of giving you economic value will be a language that you'll be interested in. So, for example, in Nigeria, English is a language of what? Economy. Okay? The language of economy. It has the economic value. And we'll find out that people will speak such kind of a language. Political domination. A language of political domination can attract hatred towards, political domination can attract hatred towards a particular language. In the same way, language associated with power is not likely to attract positive attitude. For example, there are some persons, if you go to the north, they've made up their mind that they will never speak English in the public. We don't want for political propaganda. No. They've made up their mind that they will never speak English in the public. I'm talking about the Boko Haram now. Are you following me? That they will not speak English in the public. Their children should not go to school because it is what? A crime according to them for you to what? To go to school. Are you following what I'm saying? Why? Because it's from the Western culture. Are you getting what I'm saying? And English is also a language of the what? The Western culture. So if they want to go to announce maybe they've kidnapped some persons, they will do it in Hausa or they do it in Arabic. Are you following what I'm saying? What they have is hatred towards English. Because they see English as the language of number one, Christianity. They see English as the language of the Western world. And the Western world have been fighting terrorism for a long period of time. Do you get what I'm saying? So some persons are going to hate a language because of its political domination. Okay? Now, in the same vein, if a language is the language of government, people are going to like the language. If, like I said in the class yesterday, if today President Muhammadu Buhari decides that Yoruba should be the language of government, what we have to do, everyone will start speaking Yoruba. Are you following me? Because that's the language you have to prosper through. Do you get what I'm saying? So, political reasons, I mean, when you talk about political, for example, in Russia, they make it of a different kind of alphabet system. They call it Cyrillic alphabet. Not the Roman alphabet that you make use of. Why? Because they have a different philosophy from America. Russia and America are always fighting each other. They have a different form of government. Russia does not like democracy, and America practice. And America sees Russia as an authoritarian government. Are you following what I'm saying? And it applies the same way with China too. Are you getting what I'm saying? So, political reason. So, especially because of hatred for America, Russia decided that they will create their own alphabet system. So that it will pattern along English. Do you get what I'm saying? So political reasons can influence the language that you are using. Another reason is ethnicity. You could decide to love your language on the basis of what? Ethnicity. For example, if you belong to the Hausa clan, you are going to appreciate the Hausa. If you belong to Igbo clan, you appreciate your Igbo. If you belong to Yoruba, you are going to appreciate your Yoruba. Are you following what I'm saying? So it's like that. Very, very clear. Right? Ethnicity, attitude towards a particular ethnic group may also affect attitude towards the language of that group. Now, aside from the fact that you belong to an ethnic group, are you following me? Aside from the fact that you belong to an ethnic group, because you hate some persons, maybe you hate Hausa people, you will also not like the language. Are you following me? It's not the language that you hate, but you hate the people. I mean, growing up in the community that I grew up in Ogbomoso, at the back, different routes of going to different places. I'm trying to relieve an image now that comes to my mind. So at the point in time, if I want to go somewhere, maybe I'm going to the market around some place called Ojawaso. Who knows Ogbomoso here? You know Ojawaso, the former one. So there is a place that if I'm going to my house, there were some people there before, very dirty set of people. Dirty, the house is dirty, the front is dirty. Now the people were Igede people. I've heard of Igede language before. Because of that image of the people that I have, I hated the language. So anytime so funny. The language when they speak it to it, as if it's drawing like opera. Or a man, very funny language. Alright, so I hated it, but eventually, I think when I was going for my service some years back, someone that sat beside me was from that community. So I picked interest in the language because of the lady. Very fine girl. So I picked interest in the language. Are you following what I'm saying? So, but unfortunately, I didn't get some of the things that I wanted because everyone went their ways after I alighted at the point, but I eventually started liking the language when I grew over the what do you call it now? Over the wrong image that I had when I was very young. So when you hate some persons, you are going to hate their language. If you hate Arab people, you are going to hate what? Arabic language. Arabic is just a language. It's not equated with terrorism. But because most of the people that have been perpetrating terrorism are Arabs or people from the Asian countries, then you will suddenly hate Arabic. Are you following what I'm saying? So that's the noise. There are some people that also hate Yoruba people. They call them Ingati people. Are you following? And because of that, they don't like speaking Yoruba. So do you get what the gist that I'm giving you? Now another reason is religion. Religion will also make you to like the language. Once you belong to a religion, you want to speak the language of what? Of the religion. So it could make you have a positive attitude towards the language. Right? So a language that is associated with a particular religion may attract positive attitude from the people. For this reason, Latin attracts a positive attitude from Roman Catholic, and Arabic attracts positive attitude from the Muslims. Now the next one is rivalry and competition. People can hate or like the language because of rivalry. Okay, I've told you, maybe because of your class, there was some other class that I was talking about this. In River State, they have about 21 local governments, but they have about 23 languages. But actually, what they call languages are not actually languages. They are dialects of the same language. But because each of them wants to eat from the national cake, they called what should be the same, different what? Language. So you go to a community, they have a name for a language. But you go to another community, the same language they are speaking, but they have a different name for what? For the language. So when you say that you are from that community, they will tell them that you don't like this, but they are speaking the same thing. So what is happening? Rivalry. If today Yoruba were to be picked as the language of education, the Igbo people and the Hausa people, on my basic identity, on my Dubon debate, they won't agree. If Hausa were to be picked too, Yoruba people will fight. Why? Because no one wants to what? To be under any other person. You want to be on your own. So rivalry and what? And what? Alright, the next one is language policy. This one is related to education. Once the language is the language of education, everyone wants to speak what? The language. The language that are recognized in the curriculum are languages that people want to speak. Right? So when the policy of the government of a particular country recognizes the language and confers a specific status upon it, such language attracts positive attitude from the people. English and the three major languages of Nigeria, Yoruba, Igbo, and Hausa, continue to attract positive attitude from Nigerians because of the recognition given to them in the Constitution of Nigeria. For example, if you look at the national policy on language in education, it states that indigenous languages should be used from nursery school to pre-primary, that is nursery 1 to primary 3. From nursery to primary 3 it should be used. Then when you go to the secondary school, you should learn either Hausa, Igbo, and what? Yoruba. So that confers special status on the 3 languages. So that's why you see that this language they have some, what do you call it now? They have some prestige, as it were. Now the next thing is education, not very far enough from what I've talked about. Then the last one is inexplicable love or hatred for a language. Inexplicable love or what? Or hatred for a language. There are some people that you've never been to a community before. I mean, there is when I have money, by the grace of God. One place that I want to go in Nigeria is Lafia. I just like the name Lafia. Because when I go, I'm just picturing that the place will be peaceful. We have green grass, you know. We go by the riverside, we swim. You understand what I'm saying? because it's laugh here. Are you following me? So, if you ask me, that's one of the places that I want to go. Why? Because I have inexplicable love for the name Imperialism. Just for the name, not because I've been there. Do you understand what I'm saying? So, you could hate or love the language for no reason. You actually have reason. Maybe your boyfriend or husband or your wife or girlfriend is from so you can decide that this language I like it. But you could have no reason. You could just like the language and you want to speak the language. Right, so the last topic is attributes. Is it 13?
Yes.
Attributes of language. Alright, now this is just a continuation. Now what we're talking about, listen, I'm just going to explain because we don't have too much time. We have to do 152 and people are sometimes are eagerly waiting. What's the thing about this 152? So we won't spend too much time talking about it. So I'm just going to give you the brief of this chapter. Now if you consider the last chapter that we just finished now, they do not actually have anything to do with the language in focus. Are you following me? Hello, listen now, I'm not going to repeat it because before you start asking questions. When you consider the factors that we looked at, they are not directly related to what? To the language. They are not characteristics of the language by itself. Are you following me? For example, we talk about socio-cultural, we talk about language policy, we talk about education, we talk about economic value. Are those things peculiar to the language? Are they actually part of the language? No. But there are factors that make you love or hate the language. Are you following me? Now in this chapter, the next chapter we want to look at factors that are peculiar to the language itself. Are you following me? That can make you love or what? Or hate the language. The one we looked at, they are not directly related to the language. But the one we want to consider now, they are directly related to the language. Right, so quickly, just going to run through them. Standardization. Number one, standardization. If a language is standardized, the tendency that people will what? Will love the language. For example, we use the Yoruba Oyo variety. Oyo variety is standard Yoruba. I hope you know. The Oyo variety is the standard what? Yoruba, not the Ife variety, not the Ega variety. Not the Oyo variety is the what? Is the standard what? Yoruba. Are you following me? Is the standard what? Yoruba. If you want to write anything in Yoruba now, you are writing a novel, you are writing a play, you are writing a poem, you are reading a news. You have to do it in what? Standard Yoruba. Are you following what I'm saying? Which is what? Oyo variety. Nowhere. The Bible is written in standard Yoruba, which is the Oyo variety. Are you following me? It's a bit different. Are you following? It's a bit different. So they are when you do 152, you get to know some of the things for now. But let's focus on this.
I thought you said that.
How do you think your mom?
No, I want to ask you, why is it that it is on your...
Right. What happened is that Samuel Jai Crowder, have you heard the name before? Okay. When he was taken captive, he was taken captive in a community called Ushubu in Ishain. Are you following me? Then they took him someplace then before they abolished slave trade. And they were returned to Sierra Leone. He worked with some Germans before he eventually went to London. And at that time he was busy trying to develop a grammar in Yoruba. So one of the things that he did was to write a Bible. He translated the Bible into what? Yoruba. But when he was doing that, he used the Oyo variety. Are you following? For this level, I'm not going to call it Oyo variety for you. Because in some other classes, if we are talking about it, it's actually the Shein variety that he used. But we generally call it Oyo because the Shein is also not very far from what? From Oyo. Because Oyo people, they say Uro, they say Aro. But if you look at the standard Yoruba, what we say is Aro, not Uro. Are you following me? So we have plenty of all those kind of things there. So what he did is that he developed books using the Oyo writing. And if you now go far and wide, you find out that almost every person can speak the what? Oyo writing. Some of you can speak the Egba writing. But when you are talking to an Egba person, you can understand what? The Oyo writing. So the one that has wider reach is one that serves as what? The standard writing. The one that has wider what? Reach. If you go to Ondo State, you go to Ekiti State, you go to anywhere in the southern part of Nigeria, Oyo writing is what? Spoken there. They can switch their dialects, but they all understand what? Oyo what? Writing. That's the concept of standard writing. Now, once the language is standardized, what happens? It gains what? Positive attitude. Have you seen people make jest of someone before? A day, hold it back on. I mean, I don't know, I was saying in your class yesterday that when I was in the secondary school, some of the colleagues that I had, when they want to talk, old Nami, they would make jest of them. Then when I went to Ife too, I had my first degree at Ife, and when I speak my Yoruba, they make jest of me too, because it's different from the one. Now, I'm not Ife people now, I'm talking about my colleagues. Some of them came from Lagos, some of them from Ogun. They make jest that your Yoruba is different. Why? Because the accent will come to play when you talk. But when Yoruba people talk, it's even more evident. They will make jest of them too. Are you following what I'm saying? But when you talk generally in the standard form, people don't make jest of them. Are you following what I'm saying? So the standard form, it has prestige. If someone just arrived from the village today, what we do? People will keep making jest of the person. But immediately the person gains the ability to speak the standard variety. I mean, have you seen some kind of person before that they don't speak the Oyo variety, they speak their variety from the village? That's all they know. Have you seen something before? Yeah, I'm talking about Kong, not someone that just came to spend holiday with family member people. Are you following what I'm saying? You know that this one does not understand the standard variety. So people make this of those persons and they even extort them. They make them, they use them to play and what they like. And they extort them, they play on their intelligence and everything. I mean, from Yoruba movies that you watch, you see all those kind of things, right? So that's that about that. Standardization. So once the language is standardized, the possibility that the language will have what? Positive what? Attitude. And the next thing is autonomy. Autonomy. Once the language has autonomy, what do you mean by autonomy? In this sense, the language is widely recognized. The language is what? Widely what? Recognized. Now, can you say that between the different varieties of Yoruba, which one do you think has autonomy? The Oyo variety. The other ones are still attached to the what? The Oyo variety. But once the language can stand on its own, it's not related to another language, it has its own writing system, it has every other thing, then that language would also have what? Positive what? Attitude. Are you following me? Now the next thing is historicity. It's not very far from what we looked at under factors. When the language has certain history, then the language will also have what? Positive what? Attitude. When the language has students who are not I mean, it's very possible. Have you not seen very short people like that? I've seen some in this area. Okay, he's not sure. He's not sure like you. Come and stand there. Okay, so now historicity. So when the language has history, then people try to appreciate the language. Now the last one is vitality. Vitality. Now what I mean by this, in short, a language with value. A language with value is a language that people what? Appreciate. A language with value is a language that people what? Appreciate. Are you following me? Listen to what I'm saying. A language with value is the language that people what? Appreciate. Yoruba is more vital. When you say something is vital, it's important. That's more vital. It's important. Yoruba is more vital than Igbo in Southwest. Are you following me? If you go to the border, they will not be speaking Igbo there. Either they speak Yoruba or they speak French. Are you following me? Do you get what I'm saying? Not they go. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay. So Yoruba is more vital. Now English is more vital than what? Yoruba. Do you get this? So that's the idea under the concept of vitality. So we are going to end 170 now. You want to ask a question, madam? Yeah, I decided to intentionally keep talking about it. But basically what it is, an abstract language is one that has autonomy. An Oswald language is one that I say are attributed to the abstract language. For example, English is an abstract language and stand on its own. It has its history a long time before now. Do you get what I'm saying? An Oswald language is not related to, you can't relate it to English. But languages that will be going from English now. For example, Nigerian English will be Oswald to the what? The British English. Do you get the things that I'm making now? So that's the idea of Oswald. Right. We can also say that English is an Oswald to Latin. Because at the point that it was related to what? To Latin. Right. So that's that about 172. And we are going to proceed to 1.